All right, everybody, welcome to the Beyond the Leaderboard podcast. This is episode 9. Today's episode is titled Clarity and Confidence. I'm probably going to make this about a 3-part series, if I'm being honest with you. And so, clarity and confidence, the beginning. That's the first episode in this series. All right. So, what we want to talk about today is basically taking a new agent from their highest level of anxiety and their lowest level of knowledge, raising their knowledge while lowering their anxiety. And what we've learned over time is the best way to actually do that is simply just to get people into activity. Yesterday I was with Sean, and it was interesting because he was reading through some of the groups that were growing and just the issue paid numbers from last month. And he would stop on a few and he's like, why do you think they're not growing? Why do you think they're not growing? And to a person in my mind, my first thought, which, may not even be worth much, but my first thought is it's one of two things. They're either not doing enough or they're doing something wrong. And a lot of the people that are actually not growing, what I've noticed is, from my perspective, from the outside looking in, not judging anybody, but just from the outside looking in, a lot of it is just overcomplicating it with new people, having 74 freaking meetings before the new person actually even gets started. Like, that's a problem. We shouldn't look, if it's simple, we need to keep it simple. People don't like simple, by the way. They like it to be difficult. Because if it's difficult and it's not working, then they can blame it. If it's simple and it's not working, then the only reason why it wouldn't be working is because of them, right? They'd have to take responsibility for where they are. If it was simple, it wasn't working. If it's calculus and it's not working, well, it's freaking calculus. That's hard. If it's second grade math and it's not working, it's because you don't go to school enough. Like, that's all it is. There isn't much more to it. And so people like to create, what I've noticed, when I say people, I mean me. Like, I've made a lot of the mistakes that I talk about. And what this does is this reminds me of what they are, so I don't go back and make them again. But in the beginning, to keep yourself relevant, you'll overcomplicate it. You'll have 35 calls diagnosing the one appointment with a new agent that they didn't sell. Look, this is probably just one of the ones nobody's going to sell. Like, let's not overthink it. Let's go run 100 appointments before we start thinking and trying to diagnose and re-engineer and reinvent and recreate and do all that stuff and play Monday morning quarterback. Let's not do any of that stuff until people have enough activity under the belt to figure out if they're really doing something wrong or not. And the best teacher in this business is losing money. The best teacher in this business is not making sales. The best teacher in this business is just going through the activity. The best teacher in the business is getting on the telephone and making the phone calls. What I found is, a majority of the time, if somebody doesn't want to start, like, you'll hire a new person and say, I need to know more about the products. I need to know what I'm going to say. I need to know this. The only thing they need to do is dial the telephone. Let's not ever forget, like, your goal to use all your influence with a new person to influence them to make phone calls. That's it. Even if they get you off on a tangent, what it comes back around to all the time is, let's make some calls. Let's call John. Do you have leads? Let's call those ones. Because unless somebody does that, it's not going to work. That's the truth. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's not easy. It's somewhat unpredictable when you get started. You're nervous about it. And people want to alleviate that with a lot of know-how. Know-how is not the answer. Action is the answer. Like, if I had you list a list of things that are preventing you from getting where you want to go, no matter what that list is. If I say, okay, Tom, on this side of the board, you guys should actually do this at home. If you're stuck right now, do this at home. Write on one side of the paper the feelings you have about where you are right now. Every fear, every bit of anxiety, every hang up, everything that's holding you back. And then on the other side of the paper, the thing that will cure all of those things is action. So somebody says, well, hey, I don't know the products yet. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I don't know it all. I feel like I might lead somebody in the wrong direction. I feel like I might give somebody bad advice. I feel like I need more structure. I feel like I can't do it at my house. I feel like I can't do it with a group of people around. I feel like all these other things that'll come up. I'm afraid of what'll happen if somebody asks me a question. I know the answer to it. I've always been really good at my job. What if I don't know the answer when somebody asks me something? All these different things. And what you find is, as you go through that process, it'll start unraveling and unveiling other things that you're afraid of. And it's just this constant pit of despair. The answer to all of it is just moving. Keep it moving. When you get started, the only thing that matters is that you pick up the phone and you call Marcus and tell him you're coming over. That's it. You should try to do a lot of phone script training. No, you really don't. Get the phone script and read it on the first few. It can't get any worse. The people don't have the insurance now. They're already not customers. You say it could get worse. I could spend my last $1,000 on leads and not make any sales. No, you can't. That's really hard. And if you do, we'll figure out a way. As a matter of fact, that's the best thing that could ever happen. Spend your last $1,000. Don't make any sales. Go to the person. Don't not try to make sales. But if you didn't make any sales off that, go to the person that hired you and say, hey, I spent $1,000 to make any sales. What should I do? The question is, well, what did you learn from your experience? How many people did you call? How many people did you sit down with? What did that look like? Now I have something to coach you on. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna get these ones. I'll help you with these. Let's go here. Run tomorrow. Like, let's figure it out. But until you move, it's almost impossible to navigate the waters. Like, you can't sail the ocean when you're just docked in the harbor. And most people, the reason why most people fail is they never get out of the harbor. They wait until all the lights turn green before they leave the house. Like, that's a mistake. I don't know where people learn it, because they want it to be comfortable. And it is not ever comfortable. Every level in this business has a new devil. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that saying. But the bigger it gets, the more you grow, there's things you don't even know that you don't even know that are going to happen on this journey. Like, if somebody would have said to me in 2013, Tray, in 2016, this is going to happen. 2017, you're going to learn about this. Like, I would have had, I don't even, it's almost unfathomable to try to explain to you every step along the way. It's like, if this is a 10-step process, you go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you can see further. But everybody wants to see the whole road. It's like, hey, what's it going to look like when I get an integrity deal? Whoa, let's talk about what your run day is tomorrow. You have 8 appointments. Like, how many people did you call today? Did you dial for 20 minutes and then stop and watch television? Like, let's talk about that. It's having lofty, big, obnoxious, audacious goals. All that stuff that's great. But you got to understand that the secret to anything is just hidden in your daily agenda. What can I do today to get me closer to where I want to go? That's it. That's what gives clarity and confidence, is what can I do today to get me closer to where I want to go? And if at the end of the day, you can say to yourself, if everybody did on my team what I did, would it be a successful day? As long as you can say yes to that, then you've unlocked the code. That's the way it works. And so, Clarity and Confidence Volume 1, it's all about activity. It's not about knowledge. It's not about learning. And you got to understand, there's 4 types of learning, right? There's learned knowledge. That's what you get in the classroom. So you go to the classroom, you sit there, they tell you all the stuff, you read the books, you read the class syllabus, you go through the course, and at the end you have some knowledge, right? You've been there all semester. You learn some stuff. The next way is through doing it. Now, an hour in the field's worth 20 in the classroom. So by doing it, you're going to alleviate a lot of the anxiety that you had just from learning it in the class. But what happens is, when you do the activity, if you go back to the same class, all the stuff that you learned will make a lot more sense. There's stuff you'll learn in the sales training that makes 0 sense until you sat down with 100 Toms and Marys. When you sit down with 100 Toms and Marys, you go listen to Eric Schmidt train, it's a different training when Eric Schmidt trains after you sit down with 100 people than if you never actually made a phone call and you go through the training. You do the exact same words and you will get something different out of it. Now that process never changes. The kiss of death in this business is I've arrived, I know it all. If you get to that point, you're in trouble. So you always got to go back to the classroom and learn and apply, learn and apply, learn and apply, learn knowledge, activity, knowledge, learn knowledge, activity, knowledge. Then what you want to do is you want to model people that you can relate to in the business that might say it the way you say it. So you'll start modeling certain people. Like early on, I modeled Paul. Later, I modeled Andrews in home. Then I started modeling different people across the country. I learned a lot from Lyndon Lampasso. I learned a lot from Grayson Hughes. I learned a lot from Zach Trudowski. So I started modeling different people's in-homes, different people's phone scripts after I did the activity long enough. And then that's the third step. And then the fourth step is you do it long enough that people start to model you, and then you become the teacher. Now, the mistake is like we got all these work spots, offices set up, right? So you go to the dial day and Tom's in there. Tom ain't sold nothing. He ain't dialing. He ain't doing nothing except bothering you. He gets up, wants to start drawing on the whiteboard, do training. Well, Tom, he shouldn't teach. He hadn't done nothing yet. You got to be aware of Tom. Don't listen to Tom. Unless Tom's going to tell you what not to do, don't listen to Tom. Find the people that are doing the most, model them, and then if you do it long enough and you start getting results, then you become the person worthy of being modeled, and then you can teach it. What everybody wants to do is they want to circumvent the process. They want to go from like, I read the book, now I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about it. You never run no appointments. You can't do that. You got to understand that there's a proper flow to this business. There's a proper there's a process to it. You can't just go from step 1 to step 5 and not do all the work in between. Now the work in between is messy. It's not it's not going to unfold exactly the way you think it is. There's going to be a lot of heartache. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. There's going to be a lot of stuff you do wrong, stuff you thought you did right. You find out a year later you didn't do it right. That's how it works. And if it wasn't that way, then everybody would do it. And if everybody did it, there would be no opportunity for us. So embrace difficulty, embrace challenges, embrace obstacles. That's what will make of you what you need to become in order for this to continue to grow for you. And don't get too caught up on training, man. You just need like 3 of them. Just watch 1 or 2 videos 1,000 times and you're good. You don't have to overthink it. So hopefully this makes sense. Clarity and Confidence, episode 1. Beyond the Leaderboard, episode 9, but the title of this, Clarity and Confidence, is the first part to the series. We're going to get deeper into this next week. I'm traveling. I'm sitting in the lobby of a restaurant, getting ready to go meet a bunch of agents today. So hopefully this helps. Let me know. Reach out to me on Facebook. Reach out to me on the chat. Let me know this has been valuable, and I hope to meet you guys again soon. See you guys soon, and make it a great week.